Aloha, peace family. This is your boy Gerald. It is the 2nd of February. Isn't it the 2nd of February? Wait a minute. Let me look. Yes, 2nd of February, 2023. How is everybody doing? So, I'm here in my office, about to start my day. And as you know, and many of you, as you're commuting, navigating through rush hour traffic, you're multitasking. But a lot of times you find yourself focusing on things that you may have put on the back burner because you're trying to utilize time management. You got to take care of what's in front of you before you can get to what needs to be overall done, the end goal. So I noticed, and I've seen this for a long time, that you're starting to see a narrative in social media where you have two opposing points. They are starting to lose ground. Because now, more importantly, you're starting to see more people truly demand for what is considered authentic. What am I saying, Gerald? How many years have gone by and you have had things, how should I say this? You've compressed thoughts, you've prioritized goals, you've pretty much had to find a way not to marginalize what matters to you. And unfortunately, we have some that will seize the moment, or shall I say the platform, to distract you from what's most important. And you see it packaged in a nice bow called negativity. Usually it's peppered with underlining sarcasm or condescending talking points. But at the end of the day, no matter how it's conveyed, what matters most will always be tried and true. Why? Because it has a direct and really emotionally indirect impact on how you're going to navigate your life, how your reality is set up to be illustrated. Which brings me back full circle to what I've always said. It doesn't matter what you have in your possessions from this worldly realm if it does not validate what you feel emotionally or from the spiritual realm. That is why countless examples shown on TV, on social media, in advertisement, you can tell these illustrations, there's no happiness there. There's nothing concrete or tangible because there's something always underlining. So just like the legendary, iconic R&B legend Marvin Gaye, which was my favorite, who is my first and favorite singer, male singer. Second is Prince. His iconic album, What's Going On? Well, that song has been around since the late 60s and still rings tried and true today. But what's more profound is until we're willing to pose that same question and apply it to ourselves, how are you able to find solutions? How are you able to utilize those potential options as a pathway to your end goal? That's for someone. You know, there's nothing more sad is to see someone that has endless potential, endless access, endless opportunities, and they're the most loneliest person that you could ever encounter. You hear it from time to time. You hear people that are in the public eye. You always say, well, you know, when it comes to relationships, you know, I was never able to master that. I spent a lot of time alone. I was always isolated. And I posed the question of why? Because when you think about it, isn't that a reflection of who you are? The real you? The individual that is behind closed doors that the world does not see. So how is it in 2023 where there's been so many advancements in technology, and mind you, we're still in our infant stage when it comes to what technology is going to show us as a reality in the future. But it matters not if you don't have that moral fiber known as your integrity, your self-worth, your character to build upon. You know, I used to always say, I could give you $1 million, but if you don't know the value of one, it matters not. And we see this illustrated time and time again. Now, this is not hate, because we live in a world of free will, do we not? Do we not? So you have a choice. Should you go left? Should you go right? Should I stay planted? Should I go forward? Or should I consider going back? It matters not until you know you. But to do that, what's required? You have to truly look at the things that you've allowed yourself access to make your reality. Because everything that makes your reality is found right here. But it's discerned right here. I mean, why is it now when it comes to accountability? First of all, accountability is not for your audience or the people you have access that have access to you. It's for you. It is the one vital tool needed to navigate your life. But yet, you have some that is like the tangible kryptonite when it comes to individuality or a person's personality. How dare you air me out like that? How dare you say this? Who are you to convey said message? Why is there so much discord in today's society? Why aren't the needed conversations that should be had to have a better solution and, if anything, a society taking place? I'll tell you why. Because it's about fear. See, if I fail to acknowledge what I really want to say, it might ruffle some feathers. If I decide to take the filter off of what I'm communicating, it might get me canceled. But the truth of the matter is, as long as you're not truly living to who you really are, you canceled yourself. You're doing the work of what others wanted anyway. Think about it. If you're not comfortable in your truth, how can you display it? Why is it that when there is a disconnect in your environment, we are afraid to have the discussion? Oh, I better not say that. I better leave that alone because there may be some repercussions. But let me ask you this. Does it weigh the same as the frustrations that you take home every day? Does it still have the same weight of the anguish that constantly bombards you mentally behind closed doors and causes you to lose sleep, causes you to act out, to cause you to think impulsively? For what? So that you can add the exclamation point, have the last word? Do you realize how many people that embrace that mindset and behavior end up not only isolating themselves from the proper environment that they should have been in all along? You see it all the time. You have family members that ain't talked to each other in decades. Why? Because of a conversation that needed to be discussed that has not been resolved. Why? But yet, unfortunately, it plays out time and time again. Mortality ends, and they're the same ones sitting in the front row talking about, if I could only speak to. Why does it have to get to that extreme? What is holding back society from having the discussions needed so that you can actually be at peace? You can actually embrace what it feels like to have harmony and balance in your life. It's like it's like someone having a mirror and breaking it, and the glass are broken and the shards are everywhere, and you're trying to put it back together just to have a jaded reflection. Why? You know, I'm not trying to be on a tangent, but what I'm trying to convey to each and every one of you is, why in 2023 are people still ransoming their emotions? Why in 2023 people are holding themselves hostage? Is it because ego has more weight than your smile? Is it because your pride has got you feeling numb so you can't move? What's keeping you there? Is it worth the price of clarity, understanding, respect? But see, I get it. We live in a world where respect is measured by fear. It's measured by worldly assets. But here's the funny thing about that. You only have access to that, but you can't take it with you. And what's really crazy about it? Soon as the last flower has been placed, oh, that's when people take their mask off. That's when they be brand new. That's when they start saying, well, you know what? I was just tolerating them. You don't want to be that person that's tolerated. You have a right to be respected. You have a right to be loved. And you have a right to grow. But none of that will ever happen if you don't have, unless you know you. Who am I talking to? If you are navigating your life through your vitality, newsflash, that's temporary. You can look at your family tree and you can say, well, you know what? Grandma was gorgeous. Granddad was handsome. Where do you think you got that genealogy from? You got it from them, from your ancestors. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're navigating your life through physical prowess, you might as well have half your senses turned off, because that's how you're moving. That's how you're moving. And I know somebody's gonna get mad because you said, "Well, Gerald, I'm coming into my prime. I feel whole." There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But there was a time, with all due respect, you could tell the difference between the lady that walked the night and the lady that walked the day. We are in the season of blurred lines, family. As long as there's no accountability, the actions that you long for will never come. Why? Because society is holding itself hostage. But here's the thing about that, and I'm going to wind this up. Because it's blatantly obvious. You got to pose the question of who benefits? What's the motivation? Where did it spawn from? Where was that seed planted? Because when you look at it from an economic standpoint, guess what? While people think they're smarter as the next, you may not realize there are some people that play the long game. While you're moving like you're playing checkers, they've been playing chess, and they're waiting for you to react. That's for someone. All I'm saying to you is this. If you waste one moment on something that does not bring the best of you out, does not validate who you are, because keep in mind, the people that make our environment is a reflection of what's found in your state of mind. And unfortunately, if you're a parent, if you fail to ignore that or replace that with what I call emotional band-aids as a distraction, unfortunately, indirectly, you are teaching your children to do the same. Why in 2023 are we dealing with problems that should not even be entertained? Why is it you have more millennials? Listen, You realize how many homeless millennials are out there? In a town near you, in a city near you, in a state worldwide? All because of a conversation? All because they wanted to have the last word, to put the exclamation point on the behavior that should not be out there. Happens every day. It's still someone's son, someone's daughter, someone's niece, nephew, only to be damaged more and more and preyed upon by those who've already been scarred. Because hurt people hurt people. Do not ever think that's not the case. You don't get a badge of honor for endurance, but you will be acknowledged that you survived it. At the end of the day, it's about your life. How important is your life? It's not measured on the things that you can consume, the things you can purchase. Guess what? You know who benefits on that side of the game? Is the person that had the product. You don't get it? Think of it this way. I used to use this analogy all the time. Think of an example. You walk into a store, you see a shirt, and that shirt, you're blown away. You desire this shirt. You see the price point on the shirt. The price point on the shirt is whatever it is. And it sits there because of the value of the price point that the producer wants. Now, what they don't tell you is it didn't cost them that to make. This is the underlining reason for supply and demand. But guess what? You decide to purchase said shirt at said price point. Do you think that producer cares? Because they've already accomplished their agenda. They said, we have this and we're going to put it above the means. Eventually, it'll do two things. Either A, someone will buy it, or B, it won't get sold. Well, guess what happens to that when it doesn't get sold? It gets written off. You see what I'm saying? And so with that same analogy, you may have people that have written you off because they don't see the value of who you really are. Maybe they can't see the value of who you are because you don't realize it first and foremost. Just like legendary writer Maya Angelou said, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. But it's instinctual that we want to see the person in better light. That's natural. But depending on the vantage point and the perspective of the person that is making the assessment, they may turn around based off of prior experiences of their own and take a speculative approach. Well, yeah, everything looks good on the outside, but is it tangible? Can I do? And they are more methodical and calculated. And sometimes they may come off callous. Especially as you mature, you notice that our elders, like my family member would say, they don't have any cut cards. And you're like, wow, why are they grouchy? Why are they doing it? They ain't got time for the BS. Because your greatest resource that you'll ever have is your time. You won't find that on social media. You won't find that where you commune, congregate. What I'm saying, like where you choose to socialize. You won't see that. What you'll see in those environments are representation, or shall I say, the representative of the person, never the person. Because at the end of the day, there's an underlying agenda. And said agendas will be defined by said behaviors. But let me bring it back. Don't let 2023 be nothing but a footnote of what you've experienced, what you've seen, and what you've had to deal with in your past. Now, the sad reality is this: those who have had access to your life, depending on if you're truthful with yourself, 50% of them hope that you will never have that realization because it benefits them. When you disrespect yourself, it benefits them. When you act impulsively, it benefits them. And when you choose to disrespect yourself, it doesn't benefit your family, your legacy. Can people change? Every day. But even like hip hop, they're not legends, but they're on their way. The Migos, when they came out with "Walk It Like I Talk It," which that whole wordplay is nothing new because they were doing wordplay of using those euphemisms, shoot, since the 20s. But again, if you can't stand on it, you shouldn't be able to stand it. There's a price to be you. But the sad truth of the matter is, if you're blessed to live enough, long enough, you'll start to see folks that they're just happy where they're at, and nothing you can say or do, and you have to respect their wishes. But because you are growing, don't do that to your peer either. Because you have some people that have. I'm gonna stop right there. I'm just gonna say this: the energy. I said that I've been saying this since 2012. The energy you put out is the energy that will return. So, because energy doesn't disappear, it's transmutable. So, if anything, why not be remembered for your best you? Now, people, life has about peaks and valleys, family. Don't get it wrong. Don't think. Let me tell you, you're looking at a person for 25 years. I suffered from depression. I can tell you that. To the point I lost my smile. And through that 25 years, I had people that would take advantage of my kindness. Do I hold a grudge? No, I was more disappointed that the fact that they did this, but it was a blessing in disguise because it taught me what not to do. And guess what? As long as you move from a pure place, you got no regrets. But they got to live with it because they thought that you would never come into your own. How wrong they are. But when you identify that, don't take an option of negatively revenge. First of all, you don't have a right to seek revenge because you're not the Most High. And he said it, no matter what religious dogma that you follow, judgment is his ultimately. That is why those who were made last are going to be made first, and it will be illustrated such because they have learned the necessary things that is required for them to take their rightful place and navigate as such through their lives. Why? You better move with humility. You better understand the power of compassion and temperance. But none of that will make sense until you decide to truly love yourself. Who am I talking to? If not, like many, they go through relationship, through relationship, through relationship. They turn a blind eye, and slowly but surely, their mortality is checked off until they're nothing but a shell of themselves. And it's so sad. It's so sad. And the question is why? Why? Why did you choose to go that route when you didn't have to? What kept your mouth bound from the truth? Why could you not separate your pride and ego when all that did was feed your pain? Why do you think we're seeing what we're seeing in society in regards to relationships? You have a cavalcade of folks talking about what they want, but yet if you turned around and turned the mirror so they saw themselves and asked them, what does your happiness look like? What is required to fulfill it? Because you are what you attract. You do understand that, right? One of the greatest deceptions put out in society is opposites attract. No, that's a deception. Because if that was the case, how can you find a commonality between the two? "2023 family, the masks, the spiritual masks are falling off. The things that were hidden are being exposed without your doing. But you know what's required? Is you to accept what is being shown. That's all I'm saying. I didn't want to be on here this long. I really did. I'm at work. In my office. Hear that? I'm clicking on my stuff right now. But I love each and every one of you. That's for certain. I've made a lot of headway in regards to my spare bedroom with my equipment and stuff, and I'm actually very, very happy that I'm making strides in that. And because I'll be honest with you, my biggest hurdle was self-criticism and fear of stepping out of my comfort zone. It was. I got 17 programs I got to learn, and I'm like, Lord, walk with me. My angels protect me. We're going to see this through. And we are. We are. We are. So I thank you for your support. Oh, by all means, listen. If there's somebody that you feel that could benefit from my video, by all means, share it. Share it. If you're feeling what I'm saying, give me a like. If not, dislike it. But I'll do you one more. If you're not feeling what I'm saying, leave a comment so we can talk. I try to be punctual. I really do when it comes to communication, because communication is timely. Big changes are coming, family. I'm glad that you guys have been there since the beginning. I hope that you guys have had a smooth week. But more importantly, I hope that you continue to grow emotionally by loving yourself, finding comfort in your discomfort, because I've said that for years. You can't find resolution until you're willing to look at it, to identify what does not fit. But trust when I tell you this. When you find this inner strength to identify what does not fit, guess what's going to happen? You're going to find a way. Your discernment will tell you what you need to do. Not what you want to do, what you need to do. But the real question is this: why don't you think you're not worth that? I'm here to tell you, you are. Be blessed, family. Love to hear from you. Bye.